Hi, guys. Hello, and again, welcome back to the Nigerian Abroad podcast. I am very happy to be here. And if this is your first time listening to the Nigerian Abroad podcast, welcome. From the name, you can hear that this is a podcast about immigrants. I mean, not just Nigerians abroad, but just immigrants, and with a sole focus on thriving and sharing cultural experiences, but growing, unlearning, relearning, and learning all over again, building a life abroad and thriving in that life. So we're not about surviving, we're not about romanticizing the struggle, we're not about, oh, poor me, look at me, the system is doing this and putting this limitation on that and that and that. No, we're not. We are all about learning and growing and healing. That being said, I want to talk about rest and what moving abroad taught me about rest. Before I moved here, I initially thought that rest was earned and deserved, and you had to work before you rested. So, if you, first of all, I also learned that you can be tired mentally, emotionally, and physically. Before then, I thought that you could only be tired physically. You could only be exhausted physically after doing some kind of physical work. I mean, I'd felt mentally tired and emotionally tired before, but I didn't know how to name it as that. And it didn't seem like something that was worth calling it as emotionally tired or mentally tired. Each time I would try to solve it with sleep. And for some reason, didn't actually work. So moving abroad, and it wasn't something I actively searched for. It wasn't something that I was like, why am I feeling? No, it wasn't that. It was something that I observed from other people, and I decided to ask questions, do some research from my observations. So, one thing I noticed when I moved abroad was how um, I need to get the right words, but how serious people take their vacations here. And it seemed very funny, and I was just like, oh my gosh, British people don't play with their vacations. And now I don't play with my vacations. But it was just something that I thought was a privileged thing, which to an extent it is. I know people who have vacations booked 2 years in advance. It's something to look forward to, but it's also rest. My very first vacation in the UK, or my very first vacation since I moved abroad, didn't go anywhere too extra. It was just to the beach. And it was in a city in the UK. And I tell you, spending a few hours by the beach with a book, to be fair, I didn't read that book. I was just trying to pose for aesthetics, but just being there, the sound of the waves, like I keep saying, something I was always saying was um the sound of the waves was so loud it will calm you down. Like so loud it'll calm you down. Like it's no wonder people listen to like waves or rain sounds to like sleep. It just did something to me, and I was like, where has this been all my life? It took me, I think, 3.5 years living abroad to realize that rest is not sleep. I had scheduled time off from work, like quite a chunk of time. And each time, instead of actively doing something, I would sleep because my brain automatically thought, or I'd always assumed that if you want to rest, you're sleeping. That's good for your physical body. Your physical body has exerted itself during the day. It does need sleep for your body to survive. It needs a reset. But what happens to the mental reset? What happens to the emotional reset? Your body needs that as well. This is why vacation is so important. And I think we have romanticized the idea and added so much luxury to the word vacation that when people say vacations, automatically you're thinking, oh, it has to be this, it has to be in Bali, it has to be in Barbados or the Bahamas or Canary Islands or something like that. And then everybody just turns off from it. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm not even going to go into the bits of, oh, you go to this link, you can get cheap. You can always find something to do. But it is the idea that you have to deserve it before you get a vacation that puts me off. If we're going by that logic, then being an immigrant automatically qualifies you to go on vacation because come on, like every other day, like you're not, I don't think we are actively seated and we're rested, like, I can finally relax. We're literally always basically on the edge of our seats every other day. If it's by that logic we're going, you already automatically qualify. But it's not. It's really not by how hard you've worked, how hard you've pushed yourself. Have you achieved this? Then I deserve a break. There is an aspect to it where you give yourself a task and you're like, I'm going to give myself little rewards. There is an aspect, but not when it comes to your health and mental well-being, which is one thing that I really picked up when I moved to the UK, because rest is a part of your whole makeup. It's something that you need to take seriously. I'm not going to come on here and be like a whole health professional or a mental health professional and be like, you need to do this because it has this benefits. You can do all that research on your own. I'm just here to talk about how moving abroad changed my perspective on rest and how it has kind of helped me adapt really, really well, because you're doing so much. You're doing quite a lot. You don't think that you deserve a break from that until maybe you see some results, or you just feel like, I don't have this money to spare. I don't have this time to spare. But I'm always going to go by this saying that if you don't give your body a break, your body would find that break and actually give that break to you. So that's something to actually think about. The next thing I want to touch on is what I thought rest was and what it actually is. I mean, technically I've already like kind of explained that bit, but I'll just say what I thought rest was. And I thought rest was sleep, which I've already said. I thought rest meant you have to be physically tired to actually get that. I thought rest was something that needed to be earned. So if I haven't done anything today, so let's say I've given myself a task to do, let's say to edit 3 podcast videos or something like that, and I haven't done it, or I haven't done all of it, I've only done one, I would not feel like I deserved the rest because I haven't ticked everything off my list. So it's one of those things that I needed to turn around in my mindset. Like, I thought rest needed to be earned. I thought that I needed to have achieved the whole world before I deserved the rest. And oftentimes my body demanded that rest from me. Like, thankfully, not in the most dramatic ways, but my body has demanded that rest off of me. And I'm still quite guilty of it, that when I feel my body starting to tell me, then I then take the rest. As opposed to having scheduled rest periods, I would wait to feel some type of way, or my body starts to feel a bit like chilly or something like that. And I'm like, okay, this is my cue to stop. I'm doing too much. I need to relax and take a breather, do something else, engage my brain in a different way, or try and do something that is mentally whole for my body. And I would do that. So even I'm still working on the work rest balance as to how much I would give myself, because now it's not just I've worked, now I can rest. It has to be giving your body that balance so that you know when to stop and when to go again, because it's when you have that energy in store that you're able to even go further, as opposed to, I don't have time to rest, I can push through, I can push through, I can push through. I questioned where this not wanting to rest came from. I questioned it. This was something that happened when I visited Nigeria last year for a friend's wedding. um I'd saved up enough money to do one of those whole IJGB treatments. Like I was like, hair, I'm going to get my hair done in Nigeria. I'm going to do my nails. I'm going to do all the beauty treatments. In all honesty, it wasn't a lot of money for me because I'd worked hard. I'd saved up the money. I wanted to spend it. And if I was living in Nigeria, that money would have been a lot of money. I'm not even ignorant to that fact. It's a privilege to be in this position. So I did all that treatment, and somebody asked me, "You're like, how much did you spend?" And I said that to them, and they're like, "That's too much. You can't spend that money on yourself. It's too much. That's a waste." And I immediately thought, but I want to, I deserve it. I didn't even believe that that came out of my mouth because I was like, if it was IJ 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, no, no, no. It was something that made me think about how getting to a certain point in my life and doing certain things for myself even raised eyebrows. And I just realized that I had gotten to that point where my thinking was different. Moving abroad had changed my perspective on how I wanted to spend on myself or how I wanted to treat myself when I felt like I deserved rest or I deserved a certain type of treatment. When this other person was ridiculing me and criticizing me for how much I had spent, and oh no, you can get it cheaper this place, you can get it this, or you don't even have to do this, you can wait to, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I want to do this because I feel like I want to do it. I didn't even get to the point where I was like, I deserve it, which I said to the person, but I stopped myself and I was like, even if you didn't deserve it, I mean, you want to do it, so do it. And it's one of those things where you start to think about the different perspectives, the different mindsets, the different ways of thinking when it comes to rest and rewarding yourself and taking a break or something like that. We don't treat ourselves like we like ourselves. We ridicule ourselves for taking breaks and we are feeling bad. I know that I started to have a healthier mindset towards rest when I moved abroad because that's one of the things I'm quite glad happened to me, and I'm quite glad caused like a change in my thinking. I'm very happy that I have a healthier mindset towards rest. Even when I started my job, my current job, there was still like a little bit of gaps in my rota before like my complete work rota was sorted out. So in between the day there'll be like so many gaps, and I wouldn't know what to do with my time. So I would just sleep. But I would wake up even more tired. I'd wake up even more aggravated, more groggy, just less fulfilled. But I'll be like, but I've slept. I've slept. I should be okay. I should be okay. And I just realized that sleeping is not the way to get myself fully refreshed. There are other ways to engage your mind, to engage your brain, to engage your heart so that you are able to feel refreshed. And sleep is not equal rest. Say this again. Sleep does not equal rest. You can sleep and wake up feeling your worst self. I learned that moving abroad. My first vacation, like I said, was 3.5 years into living abroad. And when I realized that, oh my God, there's a whole lot to it. There's so much more to rest than just sleep. There's so much more to relaxing and feeling refreshed than just sleep. I wish that as immigrants we learn this. One of my favorite things that I love to see online is when I see immigrants go on vacation. I love it so much. I love, 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 love it because I'm just seeing it, especially with the limitations we have. I always joke with some of my friends and my colleagues, and I say that if I want to go on vacation, I have to plan it at least 3 to 6 months in advance because my current immigration situation and my country's passport is quite limited. And then they're like, "Oh, I can just decide to go to Paris next week," and I'm like, "Hmm." So that's why I say one of my favorite things to see online is when an immigrant travels and they're like on vacation. So an immigrant of a country that they're currently living in, but then they go on vacation because for most of them, for quite a few of them, it would have taken a lot to get to that point. They must have worked, they must have done so much. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because I feel like I found myself talking so much about shifts and people who have done care and done store assistants and been like hotel assistants or cleaners, that it seems as if that is the only kind of immigrant there is. But there are people who are coming here as like on their work visa, and still there is still like a whole immigrant experience to go through. So any kind of immigrant, whether you came in here by like work visa, I know I've previously said that I have beef with people who came in here through work visa, but I think I'd like to take my words back. One of the things I was doing in that period was the whole misery loves company, and I fully apologize for that, because I think having conversations with people and learning about people and talking to them, I don't necessarily want to feel as if, I think that was also a Nigerian thing with me, like, oh, I've suffered the most, so don't say anything, which is quite bad, but yeah. So what I'm saying is I really enjoy seeing when immigrants go on vacation. I remember when my former flatmate, Chinomso, was talking to me about how she's going on vacation. And this was I think our first year in, and she had saved up and she was like, no, she's been working so hard, and I was so happy for her. And this wasn't even like, okay, she's going out of the UK or anything. She just found like a little place somewhere close by, and she's like, I'm just going to a hotel, I'm going to relax, I'm going to breathe. And she did that all by herself. Solo trip. I mean, that's what we're calling solo trip now, but she did that. So it's one of the things I think about. And even if it just means stepping out of your current environment, visiting a friend and just saying, you know what, I'll support with groceries, I just need someplace different, up until traveling to a different country. Like, it could be from saying I need to be in a different environment, I'm going to be with a friend, or if you can, book an Airbnb close by and just step out of your current place. It could be from that, or traveling to a completely different country if you can afford it, and just experiencing that rest that you can. There's something about just being in a different place that refreshes your body, that refreshes your mind. And I think that every immigrant deserves that. Every immigrant deserves rest. It's too hard out there. Every immigrant deserves rest. And I'm going to keep preaching it and preaching it and preaching and preaching it. Rest is not sleep. Sleep is not rest. You can't only go by sleeping. It's not by sleeping. There's so many other things you need to do. There is a reason why vacations. Okay, two top things I realized that people from the UK like to talk about: the weather, which, I mean, come on, and vacations. I know someone who talked about how she got a job because she started to like talk to the hiring person about what they did on vacation and how what she did on vacation, and somehow they just built a rapport. But those are like top two things that you can actually talk about. Fun fact, when I was still in Nigeria, when I'd watch British movies, somehow the conversation would always go back to the weather. Either lovely weather we're having here, or what's going on with this weather. Something about the weather, always. And for the life of me, I could not understand why British people always talked about the weather. I could not understand. Like, I'm like, this, it cannot be that fascinating. It can't be. Surely it can't be. And I moved here, and I'm just like, I get it. Like, that's all I talk about too, because what do you mean? I lived in Leeds for the first year in the UK, and in one day, I'm not kidding you, it rained, it snowed, and it was sunny in one day. So it's a lot to talk about. Like, you can actually spend the entire day talking about it. Like, so I get it. I completely get it. But back to the point I was saying, like, I think every immigrant deserves vacations. I think understanding that rest is beyond you sleeping or you have to earn rest is something that we have to, is a mentality that we have to come out of. And I pray that we all come out of that. I'm going to keep preaching rest in every other conversation. I'm going to, mostly because I've seen the light and I'm very happy that I have, because my life feels fuller knowing that I'm able to schedule my rest and I understand that bit. So thank you for this, for listening to me on this very short rant. I'm going to get a hang of like my ramblings soon enough, but thank you guys. Please like, comment, share. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. We have a lot coming on this year. I know I've said that before, but I promise you we do have a lot coming on. So, yeah, thank you guys. Bye.